Hey guys, and welcome to another video. I've been away for a while from making these videos, and I feel very bad about it. A lot of stuff came up over the last, I would say, month, maybe. Life stuff, major changes to the game, a certain patch that some people may or may not be aware of. And, well, it killed my motivation to play World of Warships. So really, I've been pretty much away from the game for a while here. Um, Now things that have calmed down a little bit since then. I think I'm gonna start getting back into streaming more regularly and get back to producing some, regular videos again. I do feel bad about being absent for the few of you that have been supporting me here. So, you know, uh, need to get back into it. With all that said, today's video is going to be featuring the USS Massachusetts yet again. Basically, my favorite ship in the game, the North Carolina clone, made for the namesake ship of my home state, Massachusetts. It is just one of the most fun ships to play in the game. Even though it is a premium clone with some numbers tweaked, the big thing on this is it is the American battleship with secondaries, basically. You have, with your maximum AA slash secondary setup on it, a 11.3 kilometer fuck you zone, basically. I go for a full build for my secondaries. So on this particular one, because the secondaries are Atlanta guns, it actually benefits greatly from sticking IFHE on it. But fortunately, in the new CV meta that we've gotten with patch 8.0 and onward, it actually helps out quite a bit that to buff your secondaries, you have both BFT and AFT already on top of a pretty strong AA platform, given that it is a North Carolina clone. This game in particular was from maybe a week ago. I was divvying up with a clanmate, and well, I had myself quite the game. So, I mean, you'll see it coming up here, but yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy and welcome back. And yeah, I plan on producing more regular content coming up soon. So thanks for bearing with me here. So there are a couple things that I forgot to mention off the top of the video. The Massachusetts does have a couple of different things from the North Carolina, other than just its secondary range. To go along with the secondary range buff, what it got in return was a nerf to your main battery accuracy. So it does definitely get worse dispersion. I don't remember the number offhand, but it is not great. In a lot of cases, though, the guns are still very much reliable and will do the damage for you that you need. One of the other primary things that makes the Massachusetts different is the secondaries actually have a buffed dispersion themselves. I believe they are 40% more accurate than normal secondaries on, say, a Bismarck or another ship of the type, secondary build ship. So you do get a hell of a lot of extra damage just off of those. You can, instead of maybe using IFHE, use the secondary mod to, or not secondary mod, rather, manual secondaries to increase their accuracy, which will end up doing a lot of damage. Lastly, the Massachusetts gets a pretty fast reloading heal, so it definitely does reward aggression a bit more. It will help to keep you alive longer if you do get a little bit over aggressive. But the best thing to do with the Massachusetts is just controlled aggression. If you can put yourself into a good spot where your secondaries can land and you can still land your main battery shots, but also kind of mitigate the damage that you're taking in the first place, you are in great shape. Though, I suppose that could be said about any ship in the game. So right here, I'm posting up where my secondaries can cover a good portion of the middle, as well as my AA range will be able to help protect that destroyer that is in B cap right now. I can see this Cleveland pushing up a little bit too close out in the open on his own, so I try to take a shot, land a couple of nice hits. But you can see that dispersion on the second set of shells that went in there where it just completely whiffed. So here I decided to try to back up and get myself some different shots. One on this Queen Elizabeth, which again, you might be able to see the dispersion come into play here, or it's just a bad shot. I don't remember which, but I do not recall doing any damage on this one. Yeah, so that looked like just a bad shot on my part, but I see the HE spam come in, so I press forward, but catch that long fire anyway. I'm not sure what the story is on the double captain voice thing that's going on here, so I do apologize for that. And again, you can see that just pretty bad dispersion on some shots going on here. It's not that bad, but it definitely could be a lot better. Now you can see the secondaries start to fire up and get a few hits here. And nothing but overpens on the broadside cruiser, less than 10 kilometers away from me. But I know that the Nueve de Julio is where he is, and I prepared my guns for that and managed to get a shot off before I disappear behind this island. So my choice here, where I've now put my nose toward the south and I can no longer get to this gap easily. Basically, what I could see is the large ball of enemies heading up in about the E7 area there. So what I can recognize is a majority of my team is balled up right in front of them, but are dying. So what I choose to do here is head south a little bit. That will allow me to stick my nose toward the enemies that are primarily up in the north, and also get into B cap and deal with the two ships that are in there. The Dallas and, well, I can't actually see the other ship's name right this second. Cleveland. Dallas and the Cleveland. So here I just start making my way back in, and I can see that the Dallas is not ready for me to come around this corner. Last spot on the map, broadside to me, not paying any attention at all. And, oh, look at that. Main battery goes out. Oh, and the secondaries steal the kill. So, now we've got a Cleveland around the other side of the island here, but I see my chance to do some damage up in the north and try to help out the couple of ships that are remaining up there. So, I try to take my shot at the Nueve, but I fail miserably because I do not lead enough. So, now what I can see is the enemy Massachusetts is nosing his way down. I've got the Nueve now shooting at me, and the Queen Elizabeth, who can also take some shots at me. Got the two destroyers up in the north, heading for my Dallas, and my friendly carriers off in the spawn, which is, I mean, it's fine. They're carriers. That is their natural habitat. But I decide to push up and do the damage to the Cleveland here, who has put himself in just an awful position. So we put the guns out, and yet again, it is a squishy cruiser at close range, so nothing but overpens. But, fortunately, the secondaries on the ship are more than enough to cut him down. So, now I can see the enemy Massachusetts directly on the other side of this island. So, what I want to do is prepare for him to come around. Since we do not overmatch each other's nose, I can just stick my nose right toward the gap in the islands and prepare for him to come in and hope that he gives away enough side. So unfortunately here, the my divmate carrier did not run early enough away from these destroyers, so they're definitely going to start harassing him here pretty soon. So he comes in to try to strike the Massachusetts to give me a hand, but I'm already prepared for it and get my secondaries going and begin to back up. Basically, I don't want this guy to be able to come around this corner and get the ram off on me. Now, I could see that he had gotten all of his guns off, which means that he has not angled himself enough, which is why I shot for his nose right there. Now, here I find myself in a little bit of a situation with the Zanshan coming in from the side. I've got an enemy Massachusetts stuck nose into me here that if I turn too much to try to angle the torpedoes from the Anshan, I'm going to give this guy broadside. Fortunately for me, for whatever reason, he's chosen not to turn his guns and has chosen to give me full broadside. But again, the pesky dispersion on this ship decided that it didn't feel like giving me the damage that I could have gotten, and I only get those 2 pens. Now, I knew that backing up was going to be a risk, which is why I accelerated there, and turns out the Anshan was not quite prepared for that little move. Again, now this guy is just beached, he's coming off of it, but still broadside. And there we go, 4 pens. Not bad. Could have used a Citadel there, but how much can I really complain? Duke it out here, make sure to keep my nose as close in on him as I can. Now, I do make the mistake here of not pre-turning my guns enough going into this, so what definitely could have killed him a little bit quicker here, I messed up and overpenned because I shot too far back. And my friendly Fuso decides that he needed to help out there. I definitely couldn't have handled that Massachusetts in the end. But you know what? We've still got a chance. We've managed to cut those ships down. I got my secondaries on this Duca. And now one of the enemy CVs has been spotted, which is great news, because that's another ship that we can try to remove from the game. Now, looking behind me, the 2 destroyers are both hunting down my div carrier, and have begun to go for him. I can see my secondaries light up, so I manually select that T-61 and get them going, because guess what? 11.3 kilometer range on these secondaries will definitely do some damage. Plus, with the hyper accuracy, if he stays within my bubble, he is going to get hit. Friendly carrier manages to knock him down to 1K, and keep going in for his strikes. Now, something that I didn't notice here was the Nueve de Julio, who is pushing up on my side, coming through those gap in those islands right there. And there he is, pops up, and looks like he's got IFHE on his guns, because that was a nice 8K salvo. But, unfortunately for him, my guns actually are on target this time, and he goes bye-bye. Now, right there, I ate some CV torpedoes, but I pick up the double strike on that T-61 with my secondaries. And here we go in. A couple more torpedoes come in from the Anshan. Now, another great feature. That one wasn't there. That one was right on the nose of my ship, so it did full damage. But the Massachusetts has a fantastic torpedo belt and will mitigate a whole bunch of flood damage, or rather torpedo damage, if you actually manage to get the torps to land on your sides there. Carrier comes in for the Fuso, and those AP bombs from the Shokaku do a number on him. Nearly a 20k salvo. Now, given that he's the only ship that I can actively shoot at right now, we're going to go for the Shokaku. Again, you can see the dispersion on those main guns in action, but it's alright. But now, we have this Queen Elizabeth, who's at relatively full health. I've got a Monaghan behind me. My carrier is dead. Fortunately, at this point, the other friendly carrier is actually going for the strikes on that destroyer, but he smokes himself and disappears. Now again, point-blank range, only 3 hits from that. I could have hoped for a much bigger salvo there, but unfortunately, luck was just not with me here. Now, the Queen Elizabeth goes for the ram. I managed to dodge him here. I saw this coming, so I worked my way around to not get hit by him. And then since the guns are there, let's go for the Shokaku again. And we'll bring the back turret in, because I definitely can overmatch this QE's butt, and go for that shot. More CV torpedo drops, and I believe this one right here. Nope, that one was too far forward again. If I could get a nice torpedo to land on that bulge, I would be able to show you the difference in damage that you take. Right here, I'm in a bad way. I've got the CV coming in with its rocket strikes and torpedoes attacking me. But, luckily, I managed to finish him off. Here we go. Here's a nice torpedo. So, mitigates that to 3k, but he does take out my engine. Not that it really matters, because I am 6 kilometers away from a Queen Elizabeth, who's at half health, and I've only got 3,400 health left. Now QE, because he's only firing his HE at me, really doesn't do all that much damage. And I nearly take him out. But, unfortunately, we are now left with 3 ships versus 1. And at a certain point after this, my CV goes AFK. At least as near as I could tell. He didn't launch any planes for the next minute or so, and we end up losing this game. Now, the crazy thing is, when you move on to the results screen, I had the second most XP in the game, nearly beating the top XP gain of the winning team. I was only about 50 to 60 XP behind, and I'll toss up the screenshot of that afterwards. It was a hell of a game, but unfortunately, I could not quite carry it enough.